I'm back. This is a new video. And yes, we're talking about OJ. What it is, what it ain't, it's your girl Ombre Alert, and I am back with another video. I know it's been a while. Let's just get into it, okay? I know. It's been a lot going on. I'm gonna promise you guys that I'm going to update you on my other channel. It's called Vlogs by Ombre. I'm gonna start doing more vlogs so you guys can see what's going on behind the scenes. I actually started working on a vlog. I just haven't finished it, so I'm gonna be finishing it up soon, and then y'all know what's going on in the behind the scenes. But I'm back. This is a new video, and yes, we're talking about OJ. Yes, we are. This is something that I haven't touched on my channel at all, but it needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about. Okay, so let's just get right into it. You guys already know what to do. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. We talk about history over here. We talk about Black excellence. We talk about a need for more over here. You know what I'm saying? So let's just dive right into it. Let's get in it. All right. So we all know that Mr. Orenthal has passed away. He just recently passed away, April the 11th of this year, from cancer. No one knew that he had cancer, but his family, he kept it close and personal to him, which is, his choice, do what you need to do. There's been an upflux of people talking about his legendary football career, and people that have shared their opinions about his life, some things that he's done in his life and his overall death. And I'll post some of those reactions right here while we're just getting started. But I really wanted to touch on a documentary I recently saw on Netflix called OJ Made in America, and it's part 1 through 5. I watched all parts. Each part, I want to say, is like an hour long. So I was really invested in this documentary. I mean, I watched every last one of them. I took some notes throughout, but I didn't really take notes. I just kind of took mental note. Sometimes when I'm watching something, it just helps me be a little bit more sharp if I just keep it in my head. But I did rewatch it and write some things down that I thought was necessary to discuss in this video. But as the part 1 opens up, it's basically about his upbringing and his football career. And it starts off with him talking, and he says, and I quote, "As a kid growing up in the ghetto, I didn't want money, I wanted fame." I mean, that really solidifies to me his overall stance in the world. Like, especially coming from the ghetto myself and still living in the hood myself, like that's not a regular feeling. Like, that's not a regular feeling. Like, you have times where you grew up where there's no lights and there's no water, and that can happen anywhere, but it mostly happens in an impoverished neighborhood where you're amongst your race. That's where it mostly happens. And you go through things like you don't have food to eat, and all you want is some money. I mean, that's the main thing about being from the hood. Like, everybody wants money, everybody wants to get out of the hood, everybody wants to get out of poverty. So the fact that he said he wanted fame instead of money, that kind of struck me immediately when I first started watching. But yes, it talks about his football career, and how he always wanted to be in football. He went to USC. And then it talks about like how in the 1960s a lot of Black people moved from southern states like Texas and Alabama, and a lot of the racial states, as you will, a lot of the segregated states down south. They came to California to get some relief, but quickly as they settled in, they noticed that certain things were easier, like getting a home and things like that. But as they spend more time in California, they realized that they still had things to worry about with like law enforcement. So that's when, you start thinking about the civil rights movement and all the riots that happened in LA, the riot that happened in Watts, and things of that nature. A lot of things like that were going on in the 60s. And this is when, OJ was young and he was starting to get his feet wet in football. And in the 60s, he also starts to go to USC, which is a predominantly all white football driven college. And, there's other schools in LA that, actually participate in the civil rights movement, have a black student body and things like that, but he's far away from that. And he did get a scholarship to USC, but it's still like his choice to not be involved. They talk specifically about an event where Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Bill Russell, and a few other football and athletic stars, black stars, all came together and were basically doing a boycott of the 1968 Olympics. Martin Luther King even supported this boycott because it was about police brutality and just, overall, segregation, racism, and the treatment of black people. And almost all the black athletes, declined to do the Olympics except for OJ. He was the one that was like, I'll do it. He was like, that I don't know what they're doing. It has nothing to do with me. If I'm asked to do it, I'll do it. He even said, and I quote, I don't even know exactly what they're trying to do. I mean, if you from the hood, if you're connected to your community, there's nothing that you have to question about the civil rights movement. It is what it is. It's something that you live and breathe every day. It's something that is on your mind, especially while it's going on. He even said to friends, I'm not black, I'm OJ. So, this is his mindset as a young man, as he's growing up, as he's being able to collect some fame, the thing that he's been chasing his whole life. He sees it's closer and it's more in reach than he ever thought. And I really think that he really thought that because he was in football and people loved what he did, that they didn't see him as black. But it's just not true. It's just not true. I feel like because I mean, just because they're not calling you a nigger and stuff like that, that doesn't mean that they don't see you as black. They'll always see you as black. You're gonna be a black man every day. Every day you wake up, you'll be a black man and you'll be looked at like that. He wins a Heisman and he runs over 2,000 yards, and his career is kind of solidified as he does this. So it's no doubt that he's legendary. It's no doubt that he has been one of the best running backs in NFL. There's no doubt about that. Going further on, he goes to the Buffalo Bills in 1972. That's like the big leagues. That's the NFL. So he's out of college. He goes to the NFL. He's been married since he was in college to the a black lady. And by now, I think they are starting to have kids. And he goes to New York and does football. But then there comes a time when he's gearing towards his life after football. So around the late 1970s, he leaves football and he wants to pursue acting. Around the 80s, OJ is more of a commercial and actor. He's on TV shows, he's in ad campaigns, he's everywhere on TV. So he becomes kind of like a pillar in the black community for success, for just seeing yourself on TV. But yet and still, he's not connected to the black community at all. So he was, I want to say, the only black athlete that was doing things like that at that time, doing ads for Hertz and doing cereal commercials and stuff like that. He was the only one that was doing that. And it was because it was so much going on during that time. I mean, 1968 was the assassination of Martin Luther King. Malcolm X got killed as well as well as Kennedy. Like all these like influential people passed away, got killed, got murdered. A lot of people in the black community were murdered by the police, beaten up by the police, and OJ had nothing to say about it. Whereas the other athletes were very outspoken about it and did not hold back. So that would limit their commercial success. It was almost like the white community adopted OJ because he was seen as this black hero for them. And I really feel like he was used during those USC days because they just wanted to win the football game. Like, let's be real, they just wanted to win the football game. He meets Nicole Brown Simpson, or Nicole Brown, then she becomes Nicole Brown Simpson. And he meets her at a country club. She's 18, and they start some type of love affair. She's the other woman because he's still married, and he does have 2 kids by now. And I think one of his kids died in a drowning. So he had 3 kids, but one of them died in a pool drowning. He quickly moved past that very, very fast. As we're getting into the video, I just want to say that my point in doing this is really to show his non-commitment to the black community and how the black community was the driving force that got him off of that murder. I mean, like, now that I've recapped a lot of the early years, we can get closer to the actual murder itself. He divorces his wife, and then Nicole and him become an item. Then soon after that, they get married. And after that, they start having kids, and the relationship builds. The kids get a little older, and then there's abuse. There is a guy that OJ knew when he was a kind of like a teenager. I guess he was playing football. He becomes a police officer, and I think his name is Ship. I think his name is Ron Ship, and he becomes a somewhat of an associate of the Simpsons. So Nicole feels a little bit comfortable coming to him and asking him for help with OJ sometimes, and OJ kind of just spins it and makes it seem like he's not abusing her, but Cole's called the police over 8 times, and there's abuse, and she's writing about it, about the abuse. She's writing instances where he's hit her while she was pregnant, and she's writing things about wanting to leave and being scared that he'll kill her. And she's on the phone with the police asking them to come over, saying he's breaking the windows and stuff like that. So it's just getting crazy. Then the murder happens. I'm telling y'all need to watch this documentary and meet me in part 2, okay?